Tony Dungy was asked about the NFL coaching carousel and no black coaches getting hired. And he had a pretty strong answer. I want to replay that clip for Sean, and then we'll talk about it. Play the clip.
There are some young coaches, talented coaches that have not got the opportunity. Now there's people like Brian Flores and Vance Joseph who have done a tremendous job and have been coaches before, have had coaching experience, have led tremendous defenses, and they didn't get hired this cycle. The question is, why not? And I don't know why not. I'm not going to say it's just because they were black. I know for a fact myself, I was an assistant coach for 15 years, and I got passed over a couple times, came in second on interviews, and a lot of it was not my skin color, but my demeanor, my personality. People didn't think you could win being a head coach the way I coach. You know, that's up to them. I think there's more factors than just race. Is race a factor? I don't know. It might be, but I don't think that's the biggest factor.
Your reaction to what Dungy said?
A lot of truth in what he said. For context, I think if Tony Dungy wasn't Tony Dungy, but you fast forwarded him as an assistant coach in this league to right now, with his personality, his demeanor, but without the resume. If Tony Dungy was in this hiring cycle, would he have gotten hired?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
He even said he was passed over, Jason, because there were owners that didn't think his coaching style would lead to success. So I'm just saying that to say I agree with what Coach Dungy said. I'm going to expound on why I feel like more black coaches weren't hired in this cycle.
Hold for 1 second, though, before you. I want to. Don't lose that point. We got plenty of time. Tony Dungy redefined for NFL owners during his career, like, oh man, you can be a hardcore Christian, not cursing out players. You don't have to be Bill Parcells to have success as a head coach. And I think that is actually now in style, that these player-friendly coaches basically, and particularly, let's say you're DeMeco Ryan, who I think might be the closest thing we have to Tony Dungy. The Houston Texans identified him. They know him well. They love him. He's led 3 straight winning seasons. Clint Kubiak just got the job or is getting the job in the Raiders. First thing he starts talking about is Jesus Christ, and he gave everybody on the team a Bible. Everybody's leaning into the Christian Tony Dungy style because that seems to be the only thing that really authentically connects with these players. They got so much money. If you're not making a faith-based appeal, you have a harder time reaching them unless you have some unique offensive or defensive strategy. But I actually think I think NFL owners are looking for Tony Dungy's, and what Tony Dungy is saying is like, man, when I was coming up, my soft-spoken Christian demeanor worked against me. And what he's really saying, and he's too polite to say, is like this secular, rebellious, I'm a victim, the white man is bad and hasn't given me a shot. That demeanor is off-putting to NFL owners, and that's why you can't be Brian Flores and like, hey, I may sue you if I don't like you or if you don't treat me the way that I think I would. People don't want that.
I look at that prism or through a different prism when I'm reacting to what Tony said. I wasn't honing in on the faith component. I was talking about the demeanor. I think in today's sports environment, it's so much about entertainment. It's not even content, it's presentation. And Tony's content is always going to be Super Bowl championship caliber, but his presentation isn't always for everyone, especially in 2026. You hear people talk about winning the press conference and, rah-rah this and rah-rah that. Tony was none of that. But what he was he was simplified, but he was very strategic. And there was a consistency to his messaging that either you adapted to and you followed or you got replaced. I just don't know how that would go off in 2026. And I think a lot of owners might make a mistake and take a guy that's maybe more flamboyant, more get the crowd to clap and cheer in their presentation.
Andy Reid is flamboyant?
Nah, but Andy Reid been in the game a long time, Jason. He's not a new come-by-night guy. And so let me get to what I think the issue is. There were 10 available jobs, right?
Yeah.
Let's make it 9. Because John Harbaugh was kind of an outlier. He was the one guy in the cycle when Mike Tomlin decided he wasn't going to coach that kind of supersedes race. Like his resume is his resume. So let's say there are 9 jobs open. 6 of those jobs were given to offensive-minded candidates. The deficiency in the pipeline in the National Football League is not at the head coach position. It's at the offensive line and quarterback coach position, because those are generally the 2 platforms that lead to offensive coordinator. Currently, there are 0 black offensive coordinators in the National Football League, outside of Eric Bieniemy, who just got hired back to Kansas City. But we all know for the most part, Andy Reid still calls the plays the majority of the time. That's where the deficiency is, because only 3 of those jobs went to defensive guys. Jesse Minter to Baltimore, Jeff Hadley to the Dolphins, and Robert Saleh to the Titans. Now, if you ask me, is Anthony Weaver or Brian Flores or Elvira or even a young guy, Christian Parker, probably as capable as those 3 guys? Yes. But that's an individual decision that was made in those 3 organizations. The bigger picture is the 6 other guys were all offensive coordinator, offensive guys. And so that's why I feel like the NFL has to do a better job. More black quarterback coaches, more black O-line coaches that are being groomed to become one of none right now as the actual offensive play caller in the National Football League.
Is that really the NFL's responsibility?
Well, if you're serious about the Rooney Rule, if you're serious about minority advancement and development.
Got you, but that's an arbitrary thing that people have prioritized. They're not doing that. You know, there's no Rooney Rule for white cornerbacks. There's no other position in football where it's like, hey, man, we better get some diversity in here. So that's a burden the NFL is taking on. To me, it's
does that not strike you as odd, though, that there are 0 black offensive coordinators? And I know Bieniemy has a title now, but out of 32 organizations in the world, there are 0 current black OCs.
Let's go. There's 1.5 because Mike McDaniel, daddy is black, and I know he doesn't.
Did Mike McDaniel say he's not black?
His daddy's black.
But didn't he say he's not black? Didn't he say that when he got to Miami?
No, what he did was he kept it real. That like, my dad is black, but so everywhere I've been, I've been treated as a white person. I presented myself as a white person because that's how I look.
Dave Chappelle did a skit where he was a black KKK guy when he was blind. So sometimes you're in denial about what you really are.
No. No. See, let me explain something to you, Shaun. Let me give you a little historical perspective.
Okay.
You know who came up with the 1-drop rule that you seem to adhere to?
Okay.
Racist white people.
What's the 1-drop rule?
White people, yeah. If you got 1 drop of black DNA, you're black. And so we have, as black people, allowed the KKK from back in the 1800s come up with, hey, man, if you got 1 drop of black, you're black. We've let them set the terms and define what people are. And if Mike McDaniel wants to reject that, hats off to him. He doesn't have to be as silly as the rest of us. That dude's half black, half white. Sage Steele's half black, half white. And they should, I don't like the word pride, but it's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. They should proudly lean into their dual racial ethnicity, and they shouldn't be demonized for it and shouldn't accept that Shaun King and the world said, nope, you're black. You got 1 drop. The KKK taught me this a long time ago. But let me not distract.
But here's why I'm gonna push back a little bit. See, I'm not like the extreme. Like, I'm in the middle. Like, because I say you're black, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're under some kind of political or religious umbrella or narrative that you have to stay under in order to maintain your blackness. Like, I feel like you're human to begin with. Now, what race, creed, culture you come from, okay, that's representative of your background, your lineage, your heritage. But as an individual, you pick and choose your beliefs and how you feel. I'm talking about the fact that there are 32 of these companies in the world, and the conversation and topic is always lack of black head coaches. And the point I was making was there's a new push, Jason, for offensive-minded guys to become this new era of analytics-based, never kick field goals, type of guys. That's who looks like it's becoming the new head coaches. Well, if you want the Rooney Rule to stay in place and pivot and change as the times are evolving, then you got to get more representation in those positions. And right now, there's none.
Well, what you really need is to eliminate the Rooney Rule. It's unnecessary in sports.
With that too.
Yeah, eliminate this false standard, this false agenda that's been imposed on the National Football League. The National Football League and sports just in general should just be totally about merit, and no one should care. Just like when they'll run out there next year and all the starting cornerbacks, because Dejon Cooper is a nickel cornerback, but all the starting cornerbacks will be black, and no one will care.
But what white cornerback is getting overlooked? Like, Cooper DeJean was a baller at Iowa. That's why he's a starter in the National Football League. But
there are white people.
Hold on, Jason. Yeah, and I'm not fighting a race battle here. You said merit. So I want you to name me one white defensive back in college football in the last 5 years that the NFL has overlooked because of his color.
Well, if I were arguing it the way most black people argue,
no, I'm asking Jason Whitlock.
I got it, but let me go a little hypothetical here just for a moment. If I were arguing it the way most black people argue, I would say, like, well, that's because in high school they didn't give the white cornerback a chance, and there's been a history of not giving the white cornerback a chance, and so the white cornerback has played other positions because the system just won't allow it. And so what we need is a Rooney Rule for cornerbacks in Pee Wee football. And we got to start at the grassroots level and start an accelerator program for white cornerbacks in Pee Wee football.
You are too smart for that lazy, no context-based, hypothetical situation.
You know what? It is lazy, and it is no context, and you're right. And that's why I keep saying we need to quit making that argument as it relates to quarterback. Put back to you.
No, listen. How many elite, all-pro, Pro Bowl, NFL MVP players currently play quarterback and O-line that look like us? A whole bunch. So why then are none of those guys, when they finish playing their careers, in the position of O-line coach and quarterback coach? And you can go back
because
to college.
They don't want it.
Well, go back to college then. A whole lot of really successful O-line quarterbacks that weren't quite good enough to play in the National Football League that are now factually coaching football.
You gotta want it.
No, they're factually coaching football.
That doesn't mean they want it.
Jason, I can use
how many guys did you play with that play, well, this is good, this is a good living, but did they really want it?
Jason, I can use a personal experience. I got into coaching in 2016 with Willie Taggart. Willie Taggart is the running back coach of the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
He hired me as his quarterbacks coach. I was the quarterback coach for 2 years. In year 2, the kid I was coaching was named Conference Player of the Year. Willie Taggart went to Oregon. Charlie Strong came to USF, brought his white coordinator from Texas. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. It'll come to me in a second. His white coordinator decided that having a sitting former NFL quarterback as the quarterback coach is not how he wanted his offensive staff to look, because he coaches his own quarterbacks. And I was forced to move to running back. And that kind of stuff happens all the time behind the scenes in that profession. It just doesn't get talked about. So this had nothing to do with merit. I had just coached the Conference Player of the Year who had another year remaining. And I was forced to move the running back because the coordinator said he coaches his own quarterbacks. And that happens in that profession all the time. That's the point I'm making, Jason.